Good morning. It is 8:48 a.m. on Sunday, June 7th, 2020. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I've actually been up for a little while, but sort of poking around. Like, I tried to see if I could maybe go back to bed a little bit, and that didn't really work out. Rocket wanted to play, and then I played with him for a little bit on the floor, and then he kind of sacked out again, and so here I am. Ta-da! And now you know the rest of the story. Do people get that anymore? Probably people my age or older still know Paul Harvey. I can't imagine people much younger than me do. Anyway, today is Sunday, which means I'm continuing my rewatch of The Legend of Korra with episode 10, Turning the Tides, which honestly is a slightly strange episode title because the use of the phrase is used to describe something that has not happened yet. Like when they flee, awaiting the later arrivals, like when reinforcements come, we can turn the tides. But that hasn't happened yet. Now you could argue that the tides turn the other way first, and so they could turn back, but it's just a little weird to name the episode after something that is said that hasn't happened yet in this episode. It's a little bit like how the second Hobbit movie was called The Desolation of Smaug when Smaug hasn't actually done anything yet. Am I remembering that right? Gosh, now I'm... Hobbit movies. Okay, so... Yeah, so gosh, I am my desire to just very quickly look up. Okay. Yeah, so the three Hobbit movies, An Unexpected Journey, The Desolation of Smaug, and The Battle of the Five Armies. And so, like, my point was that they called the second movie The Desolation of Smaug, despite the fact that in that movie, they kind of run around in Smaug's lair a little bit, but the actual desolation caused by Smaug attacking the city and so on, and the fight with him, like, happens in the next movie. So it's like, I don't know. Those movies had problems. Anyway, in this episode, things continue to escalate. You know, just when we think, oh gosh, things keep getting worse, they keep getting worse, right? So we had a brief reprieve in that Korra escaped Tarlok and then Amon's clutches. So we begin the episode with her recuperating back on Air Temple Island, and Mako kind of watching over her, Asami still seeing this, and so that tension finally starts to come to a head in this episode, but is not fully resolved. Although, like, so basically there's a moment where Asami kind of snaps at Mako. He says, what's going on? And she basically accuses him, is like, admit that you have feelings for her. You know, it's not just a friend thing. Bolin told me that you kissed once, and I can tell because I'm not stupid that the way you're acting about her is not just concern for a friend. And he plays dumb, and because he's dumb. And again, you know, I don't want to overstate that, but, you know, he's definitely doing the teenage boy, what? I don't know what you're talking about. What? Me? Emotions? I don't know. What are you talking about? Which, again, is, I think, a reflection of how at that age, I think many young boys are socialized to believe that emotions are these inscrutable, mysterious things that can't be understood, much less talked about. And so the idea that, you know, like, he cares about both of them, and it makes him kind of feel conflicted that he knows that he can't really pursue both without hurting one or the other, and that it's all complicated and messy in his brain, and that he understands why that would be hard for Korra and Sami. Like, he could just say all of those things and it wouldn't necessarily make them happy, but at the same time it wouldn't just be What? What are you talking about? No, you're wrong. I don't know what you mean. Anyway, yeah. So I think, um, yeah, Mako's not my favorite. Certainly in this little section, just because again he takes relatively ordinary relationship drama and just you know can't just say the obvious things. Like even the and it's not even that the obvious things resolve the situation, right? Like because if he was able to be in touch with his feelings enough to understand and say to Asami, "You're right. When I got together with you, I thought that I didn't feel anything for her, but I have come to realize I have feelings and I understand that hurts you. I'm trying to navigate this, and especially with everything else that's going on, it's very confusing. I'm sorry this is hurting you, but I do have feelings for both of you." And like, that wouldn't make Asami happy, but at least then they could have like a conversation, right? As opposed to him just like saying, "What? No, I don't know. What? What? No, I don't know. What? No, you're no, you're wrong." And then her just getting pissed. Like, and he does sort of say like, "Is this what we need to worry about? We should discuss this later." Because he's kind of defensive about it, and she just says, "Well, you know what? Maybe it'll resolve itself." I do want to shout out, though, to an amazing little blink and you'll miss it piece of animation is that Pema, Tenzin's wife, is in the kitchen with Asami when Mako comes in, and that's when Asami snaps at him. And Pema recognizes there's relationship drama afoot and just politely excuses herself. But there's this moment where she's kind of smiling politely as she leaves the room, and then just as she turns away to where neither of them can see her, she just gives this face like, "Oh, like, oh God," that's embarrassing. It's awkward. It's just a great little bit of animation that would be very easy to have not done, but is great. um, so in the meantime, Korra has filled in Lin and Tenzin and everybody about everything she kind of went through with Tarlok and discovering that he was Yakon's son, but now Amon's taken his bending away, etc., etc. So, in the meantime, though, Tenzin has to go back to report to the council. He asks Lin to stay there on the island to watch his family, and it's actually a nice little bit of parallel storytelling because this follows immediately after the awkwardness between Asami and Mako with the relationship that has been previously established as kind of a parallel situation, which is that Tenzin used to be with Lin and now he's with Pema. So asking Lin, who was in the Asami role, being left behind for the other woman, to stay and look after the family is a little bit uncomfortable for everyone. But at the same time, she agrees. But it's a lovely little bit of humor where she agrees because she's being all noble and yes, I will protect any attackers. But Pema suggests that what she can do to help is to give Milo a bath. And he, does little gross little kid things like being just filthy in general and suggesting he has to go poop. And so just Lin suddenly like, wait, no, this isn't what I agreed to. is fun. Especially since it sets up everything later. But in the meantime, Tenzin goes into the city only for us to discover everyone else on the council has been kidnapped by the Equalists. Ah! We only see it happen to one of the others, but obviously we know Tarlok is already out of the picture. We see the Fire Nation councilwoman get attacked, and then when Tenzin arrives, he is attacked himself, but is able to defeat them, and then learns that everyone else is gone. He's alone. He goes to the police headquarters, and this is when, like, all of a sudden airships from Sato are attacking the city. And so now this is no longer we've got to hunt down this terrorist threat is now like, oh, we are like actually at war, and they're doing pretty well. They're kind of winning right now. So, like, yeah, they're at the police headquarters, but then there's gas coming in. Tenzin is able to get some of them out with his airbending, but then they're attacked by the mecha tanks out in front, and it's all looking really bad. But thankfully, Team Avatar shows up just in time to save Tenzin and escape, from those tanks and everything. And we spare a brief moment here with Hiroshi Sato, Asami's father, being sad that that Asami is fighting alongside the Benders. And then there's a moment there where Amon suggests, oh, soon you'll have your daughter back. And there's a little bit of a, hey, Amon, why would you say that? How is that supposed to happen? You don't know. And again, it's like, it's clear part of what's happening there is that Hiroshi Sato is a grown man and responsible for his own decisions, and he has his own motivations for everything that's going on. But also, Amon is clearly manipulating him, and it's quite possible that Amon kind of radicalized him, so to speak, using him for his vast resources and manufacturing capabilities, and that possibly without Amon's influence, Hiroshi Sato wouldn't have ever gone this far. He's clearly conflicted, right? So, in any case, we see there's a lot of nice calm before the storm tension as we cut back over to Air Temple Island, and they see the attack happening from a distance. But at that point, there's an assault from more of these chi blockers and the lieutenant attacking the Air Temple Island now. And so Lin tells, Pema and the kids to hide while she's fighting. But, oh no, now the baby's coming, because of course everything has to happen at once, just to make everything as complicated as possible. But there's a great fight scene where Lin is fighting admirably, but there's just too many, and they're kind of overwhelming her. And that's when the kids, Junora and Iki and Milo, all show up to help fight. And we see the three kids doing their own airbending, including Milo fart bending because he's a little kid. And all of them managing to repel this initial assault and capture all of those equalists, which is only a small force, but it buys them time, right? And so that's when when that's resolved, that's when Tenzin is able to Tenzin and Korra and everyone else manages to return to the island. And there's I like the moment too, where Tenzin is initially saying, "What, Lin, you let my kids fight?" But again, it's like, we know that's, like, we can understand why Tenzin would feel that way, but we know that it's not fair. Like, first of all, that Lin told them to go hide. They didn't listen to her. And also, as Lin points out, it's like, they would have beaten me without your kids helping, and you should be proud because they were great. And so that's kind of a nice moment there. And then we get to go and meet Rohan, the new little new baby. We don't know yet if he's an airbender. I was going to say new baby airbender, but we don't know actually yet if, like, at this point we don't know if he's got his own airbending powers or not. We recall from the first episode that Pema was kind of hoping that he's not, because she's not a bender, and just like, just one kid that doesn't blow air in my face. But in the meantime, though, this is where, we learn, okay, well, there's too many equalists. There's more coming to the island. We set out word to basically, like, the Republic military to come and reinforce, but they're 3 days away. So there's a moment of basically, like, Tenzin and Korra just having to say, like, look, Korra, I know that your impulse is always to want to do something right now, but there's just too many right now, and if we try to fight right now, we're just going to lose. We have to hide until the army comes to reinforce us. And, Korra is, finally able to kind of recognize the wisdom of trying to be patient about it, right? So they all have to try to flee because there's more equalists coming. We got Team Avatar fleeing on Naga, and there's a nice a moment there where the lieutenant, with the guy with the electronic prods is coming after her, and Naga just swats him out of the air. And so they escape. We have Lin and Tenzin and his family escaping on Oogie, their flying bison. And again, there's this another great Lin moment. Lin is one of the best characters in the whole saga, in my opinion. She's great. And so there's a moment there where she recognizes the airships are chasing the flying bison. It's going to be hard for them to escape. And so she says, basically, I'm going to go and try to take down those airships. Don't turn around for me. I'm going to try to slow them down enough for you to get away. But I know that means that you're going to have to escape without me. And I'm telling you that's my choice, and to don't undermine my ability to save your lives. And so, sure enough, Tenzin recognizes what she's doing and also the need to protect his family. And so they all watch as Lin, manages on her own to take down one of the airships, but is captured in the process of taking out the other. And she is captured, and, we have Milo say, that lady is my hero. And Tenzin agrees, because, Lin has just... She is super badass, but there's just too many, and she basically did a knowing self-sacrifice play here, recognizing it's not even just about the children are innocent and Tenzin is her friend and ex-boyfriend, but also recognizing in terms of the importance of the world that they're the only airbenders in the world. What if Amon was to take their bending away? Would that eliminate all airbending from the world somehow? What would be the ramifications of that, right? And so that idea is, just this extra layer on top of the personal connections she has with them. And so it's really moving when she manages, when she sacrifices herself that way. And so, and again, it's not even like she's just killed, she's captured and then brought before Amon, and he threatens her, basically says, tell me where the Avatar went. She refuses, and he takes her bending away, and that's where we leave her in this episode, and it's really sad, she's such a noble character. It's really great. She's awesome. But then we finish the episode meeting a new character with a familiar voice, familiar to those of us who watched the previous series. We have the same voice actor who voiced Zuko. And I think, I'm sure it's deliberate to cast the same voice actor, and that having him sound similar is purposeful, but I still always feel a little bit like that voice sounds like a younger person than this character is actually supposed to be. But we meet General Iroh of the Republic Armed Forces, United Forces, that are coming with all of their warships to rescue the city. And we don't know his full heritage yet, but we, have to assume Zuko's progeny, right? So, that's where we leave things, is the promise that in 3 days, when the military shows up, we can turn the tides, even though this episode was called Turning the Tides. In any event, next week on Sunday, we will talk about episode 11, Skeletons in the Closet, the penultimate episode of season 1. And in the meantime, tomorrow, I will talk to you for 5 more minutes.